It's Nolan. Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show.
If it's money on the line, I'ma get it, baby.
J Nolan, boy.
Game point on the line, I'ma hit it, baby.
Fresh and local, man.
Yeah. When it's time for me to shine, pay attention, baby.
Rex and Ivy on the board.
That's how I'm living. That's how I'm living. That's how I'm living. Yeah, ain't nothing better than rocking the Coogi sweater to lunch. Doing whatever it take to get at this cheddar and lunch. Set the endeavor, I'm ready, my faith is set to the sun. With so much drama, I'm contemplating to get me a gun. Hope I don't use it, don't stop the movement. Just rock the music, if I'm locked inside, just plot the rubric. That prosecution ain't gon' stop me, you're my mama pride. The Constitution brought them tears into my partner's eyes. I prophesize like Confucius, execution, the wordplay sickin'. No, I ain't rhyming for no first place ribbon. This ain't my first take. I'm hungry like my first plate given, so get yours. Cause I'm piss poor, pushing these limits like Rick Ross. Homie, legit boss, never flip raw ever. I just spit bars, clever, rap my click across the measure. Stand firm like Omega, wildin' for that respect. I'd rather you see my heart than some diamonds around my neck. Blah.
What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Before we get into this video, I want to just put a quick announcement out there. Me and my folks with Fresh and Local, y'all don't really know who Fresh and Local is. Some of y'all may, some of y'all don't. Most of y'all don't. But we've come together and decided to bring back our event it used to be called Fresh and Local Fest. We may not call it that. We may be more so like a Fresh and Local jam session or something like that. But nonetheless, we're bringing back our music event, right? Used to do this every year in Atlanta, give independent artists an opportunity to shine, get on stage, rock out, bring people that we know in the industry out, have an educational element to the show, food, drink, the whole nine. We're aiming for Memorial Day. Location is TBD at this point, but we're trying to gather the troops to put this together. So just be on the lookout. If you're interested, if you're in the Atlanta area and you want to come through, be sure to let us know in the comments here so that we can make sure we get this out as quickly as possible, get everything facilitated. But just wanted to put that out there because we do have a platform here, and it's gonna be a good time. But anyway, let's get into the contents of this video. We're going to be talking about Kanye West, unfortunately, and this new interview that he has with the DJ that don't spin. The full interview is not out, and to be honest, I'm not going to be checking out the full interview because the audio that's been released on this is terrible. What this nigga's talking about is already terrible, but as somebody who, partakes in the content space, if the audio is peaking, if it sounds like niggas is screaming through the motherfucking camera, I can't do it. It sound like your homeboy just woke up and decided we making an independent film today and just started shooting shit. Nah, fam, we can't do that. But there is a clip that has been released. I'm not showing the clip. I'm going to play the terrible audio of the clip because he's continuing to double down on his disdain for Jay-Z. He's doubling down on his disdain for Pusha T, Kendrick Lamar, John Legend. He's continuing to melt down and just and fucking clout chase in front of our eyes. The fact that he would even link up with the DJ that don't spin is a terrible look. I know he said that this was coming, but there was also some issues, I guess, communication-wise again about what they were going to do. But I guess it's on the way. The clip that I seen, this dude is literally wearing a fucking black Klan outfit, which is why I'm refusing to show the video footage. This nigga's desperate, bro. This nigga is so fried. He could fucking open up 25 Harold's chickens right now. This nigga so fucking fried. The nigga is disgusting, man. The nigga, you know what I'm saying? And I'm only talking about it because I talk about the latest happenings in hip hop, music, news, and things of that nature. But this nigga fried. This nigga gone. He is irredeemable at this point. And in my eyes, in God's eyes, there may be another plan. But in my eyes, irredeemable. So let's go ahead and pull up what this dude got to say.
Also, I had this theory.
Before we get to the money, fuck Jay-Z. The nigga you broke your neck to stand beside and be with and do music with and produce and get features from. You had the opportunity to go with Dame when the Rockefeller split came. You went with Jay-Z and ran up under his ass. You wanted to be little brother. But now it's fuck Jay-Z. All the accomplishments and things that you've amassed since that time, hit records that y'all worked on, but it's fuck Jay-Z. I'm not caping for Jay-Z here, but nigga, get your shit together. So now he wants to take it to money.
How much money do you think Jay Z make off my catalog versus what I make off it? Next subject.
So he says, how much you think Jay-Z make off my music catalog versus what I make off of it? And somebody out there is going to be like, yeah, he's preaching, he's talking. No, nigga. You signed to Jay-Z. You signed to Rockefeller. Okay? And at the time, you weren't even being taken serious as a rapper. You were a producer that wouldn't stop rapping. So they gave you an opportunity. Dame and Biggs was really the ones that gave you the opportunity. Jay was like, okay, cool. Right? So they clearly gave you a bullshit deal because you were a producer slash rapper and they didn't know that you were going to be successful. You went out there and did your motherfucking thing, not taking nothing away from what you did um, in this music industry coming into the game. I was influenced by you. Okay? But that's the deal you signed. And you didn't have, and you had other options. You didn't have to go to Rockefeller. Remember 3H was out there pushing your music. Anybody could want to know the story, go listen to fucking Last Call on The College Dropout. You know? But at the end of the day, and I know the shit fell through, but he could have got a deal. Raucus would have took his ass. I bet he didn't want to go over there. So you're mad at Jay-Z because he made more money off your catalog than you did, but you signed to him? That don't make no sense. Now, I don't know what conversations him and Jay may have had in the later years. Let's say around, when did he really start tripping about the industry? Like 2013, 14? Somewhere around there, 2015? At that point, I don't know what the conversations were that maybe were uncooperative. Because I know you went and amended your deal multiple times with Def Jam and Universal. I believe at a certain point, Jay-Z was no longer even involved in your business dealings with Def Jam and Universal. So they make more money off your music than he do. As a matter of fact, your paperwork was literally out on the internet between Def Jam and Universal. But it's fuck Jay-Z. Now, as I look back on this, it seems to me that Kanye was the first, I won't say the first, but he was the pre-Drake. All right? I've got a text here from 2020. Let me see if I can put it on the screen for y'all while we here. of Kanye trying to get his masters back from Universal. Not from Jay-Z, by the way, but Universal. Give me a second. It's always interesting when I have to dig into what these people be talking about. So, this is Kanye's handler here saying, we can argue that Universal and Sony have not supported you fully and that as a result, they have breached their contract. This is the lawsuit termination nuclear option of blowing that motherfucker up. If we went that route, we would litigate and ask for your masters as part of a settlement. This is a high risk but high reward strategy. RE, master ownership, we can look into buying. So this is another option that was on the table where they could just try to outright go to the label and put money down. But if Taylor's cost $300 million, yours would cost a lot more, I assume. Remember that if you re-recorded these songs, you could own these new masters outright. So they even went through the option that Taylor Swift did, which was go in the studio, re-record all the old albums, re-release all the old albums as new projects, and then outright own your full catalog from that point forward. So then those old masters would still be on streaming and whatnot, generating money for the label. But then the new versions, the new re-recorded versions, would then be generating money for Kanye. For whatever reason, he didn't go in the studio and do that. So therefore, we never got that, right? They say a much more radical consideration would be to propose an entirely new relationship or joint venture with Universal. So to try to go and renegotiate a contract revision with them. Okay? One that is equal and not one-sided. I'm not sure you are interested in that, but it could be a Yeezy Media Universal joint venture play, but one where you had the power. Now, this is back in 2020. This is before all the anti-Semitic shit came out where they completely dissolved their relationship with Kanye. He responds, he says, I'm not open to any form of business with Universal or Sony. So he says, I'm not trying to negotiate with them. I'm not trying to do no more deals with them. I'm not trying to do nothing with them. But for whatever reason, he didn't go re-record his shit to outright own his shit neither, which would have cut Jay-Z, Def Jam, Universal, everybody out of his fucking pockets. But he didn't take the initiative to do that neither. Here we've got another piece of Kanye's contract. This is the reversion. And in a reversion, that means when the masters go back into the ownership of the artist, right? So IDJ here, I believe that's Island Def Jam, and they say they hereby agree to assign to you all of its right, title, and interest in all of the album's 6 masters and the album's 7 masters other than master recordings recorded specifically for a so-called soundtrack album or other multi-artist album like a compilation, provided that with respect to master recordings not recorded specifically for such an album, but that nonetheless appear on such an album, you will automatically be deemed to have granted to IDJ a license for the continuing exploitation of such master recordings on each such album, because he was in a licensing deal with Universal Island Def Jam. On the conditions contained in this paragraph 6, the date after the last day of the semi-annual accounting period, the reversion date on which falls the date 20 years after the initial commercial release date in the United States of the 7th album. Okay? So this is 20-year reversion, meaning his 6th album and 7th album. Again, this is back in 2020 when all of this stuff was published to the net. He would be able to get his masters back 20 years from the release date. Right? So at the point when the master goes back to you, the label then gets cut out. It's all yours. They stop producing it. They stop exploiting it. They stop promoting it, because at that point, any additional sales, streams, licensing in, the usage of your music in TV, film, commercials, ads, etc., All of that becomes profit for the artist. So these are things that you signed. So why be mad at Jay-Z? Jay-Z name is not in this. This says IDJ, not Jay-Z, not Rockefeller, not Rock Nation, not none of them niggas. This Island Def Jam. Now thank God for the internet, because we're about to take a trip to Complex where they broke down the 100-page contract that Kanye had, because since he wants to talk about the money that he made and the money that Jay-Z made off him, let's look at their estimation of the money he made, spent, went over budget, and all of this different shit. What we learned from reading over 100 pages of Kanye West record contracts. This might be too small. Let me see if I can enlarge it for y'all. So they say on Wednesday, Kanye West's Twitter account briefly turned into a law clinic. So this is back in 2020 when he had a meltdown. The volatile megastar capped off a series of tweets about the state of the music business and the importance of artist ownership by tweeting out 114 pages of his record contracts. And the melange was everything from a 2005 renegotiation with Rockefeller. Okay, so we do got some Rockefeller in here. To details of Watch the Throne and Cruel Summer, to the structure of good music. We read through everything so you don't have to. Here's what we learned. Number one, they say Kanye goes over budget a lot. Kanye has been spending more money than the record label allows since the very beginning of his career, when he famously took $35,000 of his own money to make a video for Through the Wire. That trend continued through the dollar, though the dollar amounts got much larger. Now, what I don't understand is how he's going over budget if he paid for it himself, or was he already over budget, which is why he paid for it himself. They say a March 2013 memo makes it clear that Yeezus went a little more than 1.5 million over budget, and a letter from the year before says that the Cruel Summer movie, the one that took 7 screens to view, also cost 1.5 million more than was initially planned. The Cruel Summer album also went over by 1.3 million. So that 1.5, 1.5, 1.3. So that's like what, $4.3 million over budget that gonna have to be recouped from the label, in addition to whatever else they invested in you. They say here, Paris is expensive. When making Yeezus, Kanye decamped to Paris for a few months in 2013. Between January 1st and March 10th of that year, the label spent about $493,000 on recording costs. That works out to about $7,100 a day. They then say he made a lot of money. Money, Kanye would surely argue, can never replace ownership, and with rare exceptions, payment from a record company is a kind of loan. You must make the label that money back before they can start paying you again. But even with all that, Kanye made a lot of money over the years. For example, Kanye got a $12 million pool of money to make the album Yeezus. 2/3 of that, $8 million, was an advance for him to keep. The rest was for recording costs, sample clearance, and other costs involved in making the album. That was a big jump from late registration, where he received a $2.3 million advance, with an additional $1.2 million as a recording budget. With Watch the Throne, Kanye got $1 million advance. There's no record of how much Hove received, and a $1.5 million budget. And of course, they don't have what Jay-Z received because his contract is not available, or was not available still. In the recording budgets, there was almost always a clause where Kanye could keep whatever money was left over at the end of the process. But as we've seen it, it seems unlikely that it ever happened, because he was always going over the budgets anyway. So had he played his cards right and been a little bit more resourceful, he could have kept more money than what they spent out. Surprisingly, Kanye's May 2012 deal for his 6th and 7th albums said that the record which would become The Life of Pablo, would give him a $3 million advance and a $3 million budget, significantly less than Yeezus. However, it's unclear if those terms remained or were later renegotiated. In that same month, Kanye made a deal with Island Def Jam for good music that got him an additional $3 million free and clear, as well as significant budget for the label. So that's where you see them talking about the reversions on the 6th and 7th album. That's Life of Pablo, and then whatever came to follow. There were also six-figure sale bonuses, including $500,000 if late registration went triple platinum within 11 months of its release, which it did. Damn. Motherfucker went triple platinum in 11 months. So he got a $500,000 bonus for that. And $750,000 if he delivered that album to the label on time. Here they talk about lost Yeezus tapes. I'm not interested in Yeezus tapes, but they say here, buried in a fairly long and boring outline of a so-called P&D product and distribution deal, there's an interesting tease. In addition to a new album after the release of Yeezus, Kanye is given the option to release an album of previously recorded unreleased songs, which the contract tentatively titles The Lost Yeezus Tapes. Obviously, this never happened, and Ye went straight on to The Life of Pablo. Okay, so that was after the other one. But the mere mention of lost music from Ye, blah, blah, blah. They say here Kanye can possibly own some of his masters eventually. The need for ownership of his masters, read more about that here, which is an article that they're going to link to, is Kanye's driving force on this quest. His early deal makes clear that his masters shall be entirely Rockefeller's property throughout the world and in perpetuity. Okay, so this is where you mad. Okay. So based on the original contract he signed, Rockefeller owns those early records forever. Of course, everybody's contract pretty much says that, but if you come with a bag and try to buy him out, like Homeboy said, he could have bought it out. They say, but by 2012, things have started to look up a little, sort of. He has the option to own the masters for his 6th and 7th albums, but not until 20 years after the projects were released, and provided that he gives them all the albums he's under contract for. At that point, he can get it back for free if he's recouped, made back the money the label spent in creating and marketing it, or he can buy it back for the amount of unrecouped money that still exists. So come 2036 or so, be on the lookout for a special edition of The Life of Pablo, they say. And again, a terrible ending to an article, which always just pisses me off. But the whole thing is, if somebody got some ownership of your shit, you don't disrespect them. They're not gonna negotiate with you. You feel me? All that, oh, I'm a billionaire, because remember he went and did the Yeezy and all that shit, and they said he was up $1 billion, he was up $3 billion, and all that shit. He must have thought he was gonna go to Jay and be like, Jay, I got it. Let me get my shit back. You like, nigga, you been disrespectful. You ain't been showing me love for a minute, nigga. Fuck is you on? We been out of sight, out of mind. I ain't giving you a motherfucking thing. And could you blame him? I don't know. That's on y'all. Let's keep going with this shit though.
This is what I make off it. Next subject. No, that was my fault. I didn't want to have children with this person after the first 2 months of being with her. But that wasn't God's plan. But my issue with all these celebrities.
No. He did that for years. Nigga did that for years. Nigga stayed quiet. Nigga was like, yo, we disagree, but you know I ain't tripping. No, it's some certain shit that niggas ain't gonna ride for you for. And that's just what it is. And you getting increasingly disrespectful. Nah, nigga. Get your ass out of here. A lot of people gave you the benefit of the doubt with the mental health issues. A lot of niggas say, you know what, bro? Go on about your business. Pusha T still living well. Done reconnected with his brother. Got another Clips album coming out. He ain't worried about your ass. He predates you in the industry, sir. Yeah, you're a bigger artist, but he still lives well.
Mm. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause people looking at me like the
So now he going in on John Legend, which this wouldn't be the first time. You know, he is pretty much responsible for putting John Legend on. He did produce those first couple albums, executive produced those albums, basically put good music on his back early on. But again, all that being on the table, am I supposed to never have any threshold of like, yo, man, we not cool no more? Like, all things withstanding, you helped me get here. I went out and did my shit. I continued to sing. I continued to do my songs, make my hits without you. Became my own person, had my own life, my own family. Now, as we sit at the table as men, if I don't support who you are, what you're doing, and what you have going on, I'm not gonna act like I do. And that's what you want, is blind loyalty. That's why people call you a cult leader. Is you expect blind loyalty from everybody, and you think putting money in niggas' pockets or putting them, oh, I'll put you on, I helped you, is supposed to give you a lifetime membership to fuck niggas over or put them in compromising positions with your actions and be like, well, I put you on, so you always got to be loyal to me. You always got to come back to me when I'm ready to, you know, when I'm ready to humble myself, y'all should always welcome me. Nah, nigga, don't wear like that.
legend and master.
Now Kendrick ain't got no hits. Have you looked at the charts lately? Have you been here for the past 12 years? Every album got hits. He ain't got as many hits as you, but he also ain't collaborated with as many niggas as you. But whatever. Nigga with no hits at the Super Bowl. Okay. Not even gonna expound on that.
This is a theory I had. Out of hand. Like
They don't have to call you one. You put yourself out there. Every time you speak, you confirm it. So it's one thing to be called crazy for like having a revolutionary idea about something that's gonna benefit not only yourself but others. But all you care about is yourself. And everybody that's left you had to wake up and smell the coffee and see Kanye don't give a fuck about nobody but himself. And you'll say it as in, oh, it's under the guise of I'm doing this for everybody. It's for a utopia, altruism. I can if I can get to 3 billion, everybody wins. Then you got to 3 billion and nobody else was winning. And niggas was like, I'm really suffering losses by standing next to your motherfucking ass. I'm out of here. I don't blame these niggas.
About him, does any of that sound right or sound accurate to you?
Yeah, if you look, it does seem like I don't know.
So yeah, man, that's a piece of the interview between the DJ that don't spin and Kanye West. Two losers with money. Two morally bankrupt motherfuckers linking up to have conversations about nothing. But in the spirit of covering hip hop in the news and what's going on in entertainment and media, here we are talking about it. Not going to change anything. They're going to continue to be who they are. They're going to do what they do. And for the most part, we'll entertain them for the moments that we hear them and go about the rest of our lives. It's that way. Kanye had so much more potential. He had so much more bandwidth to be way more important, way more game changing, way more trailblazing than he is. But you know, somewhere along the line, he just lost control, you know? Let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Become an insider. I will catch y'all on the next one. Peace.
King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming out swinging like soldier rags. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef on computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. But drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they died of me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I been dropping these haters like calories. Cross them out, I came back with some boundaries. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. Wanna catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.